Okay, let's talk about this week's episode of The Blacklist. And it was really dark and creepy, and it revealed a little more about Liz and what's going on with her fiance Tom. So let's get into the case of the week, and that was the Courier. And he was basically facilitating a $20 million deal with an NSA agent, and he had kidnapped him and put him in a box, and he had all these like chips and things like put into his body. It was really weird. He couldn't feel pain, and it was just a really kind of creepy episode. And at one point, Wrestler went in undercover to pretend to be the Courier when he was up against this woman who was part of the plan to get the $20 million. And she quickly realized that he wasn't the Courier, and they tried to attack each other. And it was another like, ooh, like crazy scene. But Red stepped in, and Red ended up getting the woman to confess, and they ended up saving the agent that had been locked up in the box. So that was a pretty much the way that the case of the week went. It was creepy. It was thought provoking, and it was definitely not a boring episode. And then we got a little bit more details about what's going on with Liz, her husband Tom. He found the box that has, his gun, the passports, the money all in it. And he quickly made a phone call to Liz and was like, "We need to talk." And she was like, "I'm busy, I can't talk right now." And, you see him and he looks pissed. But, is this a red herring? Is this, is somebody setting him up? So once Red got, they were able to find the guy in the box, he was able to ask for a favor from, I believe, the NSA. And he asked for the file on Tom. Remember when Liz sent in the ballistic report about the bullet, and it came back and it was redacted? So he was able to get the form, like the official document, and it's classified, and it wasn't redacted. So she was able to read about this murder that happened in Boston, and she believes that Tom was part of it. And there was like this surveillance photos of Tom walking out of this hotel room, and it was a bit crazy. Like, what do we know? Who do we trust? Who do we believe? And it looks like at the end of the episode, she comes home and she basically walks up to Tom and she's like, "We need to talk." And he's like, "Huh, it's funny. I was just about to say the same thing." And then, that scene ends, and then we cut to the man that's been following them who's been following them in the house. Like, he's put all the surveillance cameras up in the house, and he's always eating an apple or whatever. And so he's still spying on them, and a man walks into the room, and they basically have a quick conversation, and then it ends. So, there's quite a bit going on. There's usually always a case of the week. We've got the story going on with Red and Liz and Tom. And, Red is talking to this man, and he's like, "You could have asked for anything after, you helped out with this case. Why did you help out Liz?" And he's like, basically, I'm betting on the long plan here. And so it's interesting. He seems to know a lot more than what he's letting on to. And it looks like we're going to start to find out some of that in next week's episode. So again, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. Hopefully you're still watching it, and I know I'll continue to watch it, and I'll see you next week with the latest episode of my review.